Good Saturday morning, everybody. Right now it's Saturday. I'm enjoying my cup of coffee in the morning. You guys are my sunshine, and there's so much news to cover. So I guess today is going to be Palantir and a coffee and how and what is happening in Russia's civil war right now. So I'm going to try to do some links right here. A lot of you guys are going to say that I'm absolutely insane, crazy, and I have a tinfoil hat on. But a couple of things are starting to make sense and connecting the dots. So let's just check this out, okay? First of all, this is the situation if you don't know what's happening. First, I'm going to tell you what's happening, and then I'm going to connect all of this to Palantir, and then I'm going to give you the conspiracy theory, if you guys want to call it that. There's a leader of Wagner Group. His name is Yevgeny. This guy says that Russia attacked his camp, and because of this, they killed thousands, I think like 10,000 of his soldiers. And he says, we're going to come разбираться. We're going to figure this out. I'm marching to Moscow. Since then, unconfirmed, again, I'm getting a lot of resources from the internet, like Russian chat rooms, Ukrainian chat rooms, internet feeds. Unconfirmed, he's already on his fourth city. He crossed his fourth city, fourth checkpoint. And he's not going in a straight line to Moscow. He's going, on the sides as well. And so far, he's not getting much resistance. This is going to be a clip of him talking about what's going on right now in Rostov, the first town. And this town is basically the military headquarters in the south that's overseeing the operation in Ukraine. I want you to pay very close attention to what this guy is saying, that he says that the documentation that's being sent to the higher ups in Moscow is being falsified, that the casualties is 3 to 4 times worse than what's being reported to Moscow. And what's being reported on the news is 10 times worse. He's saying that they're losing up to 1,000 men a day. It's not being reported due to MIAs, killed in action, and people that are deserting. But he says the desertions are not because they're cowards. The desertions is because the Russian army, the people that are being sent, are having no commanders, and they have no ammunition, so on and so forth. This is going to be a small clip of him talking. And, you could hear it from himself, right? This is confirmed. This is actually him speaking right now. So check this out.
Мы находимся в штабе, 7 часов 30 минут утра, под контролем военные объекты Ростова, в том числе аэродром. Самолеты, которые уходят для боевой работы, уходят штатно, проблем никаких нету. Санитарные борта уходят, проблем нет. Все, что делается, это мы взяли под контроль, чтобы штурмовая авиация не наносила удары по нам, а наносила по украинцам. Главный штаб управления, главный пункт управления работает в штатном режиме. Проблем никаких нет, ни один офицер не оторван. Поэтому, когда вам будут рассказывать о том, что ЧВК «Вагнер» помешало работе, и поэтому на фронте что-то посыпалось, на фронте посыпалось не поэтому. Когда мы пришли сюда, то мы еще раз подтвердили много новое. Огромное количество территорий потеряно. Солдат убитых в 3-4 раза больше, чем это в документах подается наверх. А то, что подается, это в 10 раз меньше, чем говорят по телевизору. Санитарные потери в день составляют некоторые дни до 1000 человек. Это убитые, без вести пропавшие, раненые и так называемые отказники, которые отказываются не потому, что они струсили, я уже говорил, а потому что у них выхода нету, боеприпасов нет, управления нет. Начальник генерального штаба бежал отсюда, как только узнал о том, что мы подходим к зданию.
All right. As you can see, this is what he had to say. And you can see this is him specifically. This is not anybody making this up. And there's a lot of video footage that's unconfirmed, but it seems like it's true that, his convoy is going up and down the streets. They take the city and they held it down. He's actually talking to the military leader of that specific city as well, basically reiterating everything that you just heard. One thing that he's making very, very clear is whatever is happening in Ukraine is not affected by what's happening now. He says all the military leaders that are running Ukraine right now, the operation, I'm not bothering them. So they're going to lie to you to say that Ukraine is gonna win or Russia's falling because of Wagner. But he's like, Wagner has nothing to do with that. We fought very, very hard, so on and so forth, yada, yada. So now this guy is going towards Moscow. And by all accounts, he's around 20 to 24 hours away from Moscow. Actually, I see a lot of reports of, the people of the local town supporting Wagner. And there's some confirmed, unconfirmed, let's call it all unconfirmed, that a lot of the Russian troops are going with Wagner. And guys, for anybody that's from Palantir, I'm going to make a connection to Palantir right now. And it's going to be a crazy connection right here. So now he's marching towards Moscow. Putin is reinforcing Moscow. He's sending dump trucks with sand to block the roads. He's sending bombardment, like aerial support for the convoy going towards Moscow. And he's setting up checkpoints with machine gunners. So he's reinforcing Moscow. And Putin condemned what's happening right now. Putin didn't specifically say Yevgeny, but he says that all of this betrayal is backstabbing. We're going to deal with this. Don't pick up arms. Don't support this movement, so on and so forth. And they issued essentially an arrest warrant for Yevgeny. They actually raided his compound in St. Petersburg. So Yevgeny has nowhere to go. Either he's going to do this or he's not going to do this. And then Yevgeny responded. So this is going to be a 6-minute clip of Putin actually speaking on Russian national television. He was nowhere to be found for, dozens of hours, and all of a sudden, or like a dozen hours, and all of a sudden he came on national television and finally responded in the middle of the night for us, the U.S. middle of the night. So this is a 6-minute clip. If you guys don't want to watch it, just fast forward, and I'm going to make more connections. This is a 6-minute clip of Vladimir Putin speaking on this.
Обращаюсь к гражданам России, к личному составу вооруженных сил, правоохранительных органов и специальных служб, к бойцам и командирам, которые сейчас сражаются на своих боевых позициях, отбивают атаки противника. Делают это героически. Знаю, сегодня еще раз ночью говорил с командующими всех направлений. Обращаюсь и к тем, кого обманом или угрозами втянули в преступную авантюру, толкнули на путь тяжкого преступления, вооруженного мятежа. Россия сегодня ведет тяжелейшую борьбу за свое будущее, отражает агрессию неонацистов и их хозяев. Против нас направлена фактически вся военная, экономическая, информационная машина Запада. Мы боремся за жизнь и безопасность наших людей, за наш суверенитет и независимость, за право быть и оставаться Россией, государством с тысячелетней историей. Эта битва, когда решается судьба нашего народа, требует единения всех сил, единства, консолидации и ответственности, когда в сторону должно быть отброшено все, что ослабляет нас. Любые распри, которыми могут воспользоваться и пользуются наши внешние враги, чтобы подорвать нас изнутри. И потому действия, которые раскалывают наше единство, это, по сути, отступничество от своего народа, от боевых товарищей, которые сражаются сейчас на фронте. Это удар в спину нашей стране и нашему народу. И именно такой удар был нанесен по России в 1917 году, когда страна вела Первую мировую войну. Но победу у нее украли. Интриги, склоки, политиканство за спиной армии и народа обернулись величайшим потрясением, разрушением армии и распадом государства, утратой громадных территорий. В итоге трагедии гражданской войны. Русские убивали русских, братья братьев. А корыстную выгоду извлекали разного рода политические авантюристы, да зарубежные силы, которые делили страну, рвали ее на части. Мы не дадим этому повториться. Защитим и наш народ, и нашу государственность от любых угроз. В том числе от внутреннего предательства. А то, с чем мы столкнулись, это именно предательство. Непомерные амбиции и личные интересы привели к измене. К измене и своей стране, и своему народу, и тому делу, за которое бок о бок с другими нашими частями и подразделениями сражались и погибали бойцы и командиры группы «Вагнер». Герои, которые освобождали Солидар и Артемовск, города и поселки Донбасса, сражались и отдавали свои жизни за Новороссию, за единство русского мира. Их имя и славу тоже предали те, кто пытается организовать мятеж, толкает страну к анархии и братоубийству, к поражению в конечном итоге и к капитуляции. Повторю, любая внутренняя смута – смертельная угроза для нашей государственности, для нас, как нации. Это удар по России, по нашему народу. И наши действия по защите Отечества от такой угрозы будут жесткие. Все, кто сознательно встал на путь предательства, кто готовил вооруженный мятеж, встал на путь шантажа и террористических методов, понесут неминуемое наказание. Ответят и перед законом, и перед нашим народом. Вооруженные силы и другие государственные органы получили необходимые приказы. Дополнительные меры антитеррористического характера вводятся сейчас в Москве, Московской области, ряде других регионов. Будут также предприняты решительные действия по стабилизации ситуации в Ростове-на-Дону. Она остается сложной. Фактически заблокирована работа органов гражданского и военного управления. Как президент России и верховный главнокомандующий, как гражданин России сделаю все, чтобы отстоять страну, защитить конституционный строй, жизни и безопасности, свободу граждан. Тот, кто организовал и готовил военный мятеж, кто поднял оружие на боевых товарищей, предали Россию и ответят за это. А тех, кого пытаются втянуть в это преступление, призываю не совершать роковую и трагическую, неповторимую ошибку. Сделать единственно правильный выбор – прекратить участие в преступных действиях. Верю, что мы сбережем и отстоим то, что дорого и свято для нас. И вместе с нашей Родиной мы одолеем любые испытания, станем еще сильнее.
So now you see Yevgeny's state of mind, you see where this is starting from, and you see the response from Vladimir Putin. Yevgeny is saying, I don't give a flying fizzle. I'm going to go speak to the generals in charge, and I'm going to take partial control of the military. Not the government, but partial control of some of the military. He says our country is being, lied to. This is a disgrace, so on and so forth. That's to sum up what's happening now. Other than that, there's like aerial bombardments with helicopters. They're taking helicopters down. They actually have some mobile SAMs, which is surface-to-air missiles, the Yevgeny and the Wagner Group. So they're marching on Moscow. Now, this is where the connections are going to get very, very interesting. How does Palantir tie into this? Besides for Palantir actually being the software. And now you guys might think I'm crazy. You guys are going to say, Adam, you're insane what you're saying. But I still want to try to connect the dots of what's happening right now. Right now, the World Bank estimated that the reconstruction of Ukraine is going to be $400 to $600 billion. Okay? BlackRock and a couple of others volunteered to start a fund for the official financing of the Ukrainian reconstruction. This is not a secret. You guys can check on it. Maybe nobody's paying attention, but this is what's happening. Where there's BlackRock, there will be Vanguard. BlackRock, largest asset manager in the world with the most ETFs in the world. Vanguard, second largest asset manager in the world with the second largest amount of ETFs. These are the big bad boys. So you ever heard of families that own the world or families that own the country? Well, BlackRock and Vanguard would be companies that own the world. Did you notice that there was, over the weekend when everybody was like not paying attention to Hunter Biden pleading guilty, and that they weren't paying attention to that, but they also weren't paying attention to an audit that around $6+ billion was mysteriously given to Ukraine, but it wasn't documented. That $6.2 billion is from this year and last year, so it didn't just happen. There's a theory that BlackRock and probably Vanguard are going to make a lot of money with the reconstruction of Ukraine. A lot of people are. And they support certain companies, certain military companies. One of the military companies that has the most to gain from this is Palantir. Now, before you go any further, BlackRock owns just under 5% of Palantir, if I'm not mistaken, and Vanguard owns 7.8 or something like this. So together they own around a dozen percent of Palantir, which is huge. And they are the two largest shareholders, like privately held shareholders of Palantir. Think about that. Around a month ago, Palantir announces that they are the official partners, or not them, the government, the Ukrainian government announces that Palantir is the official reconstruction partners of Ukraine. BlackRock, and I'm pretty sure Vanguard to follow if they're not there yet, are going to be the official fundraisers for the reconstruction of Ukraine. I've been saying this since day one. There's a land lease, whatever it's called right now with the U.S. The U.S. is not just gifting all this money to Ukraine. The U.S. is essentially doing imperialism. This is how they're going to control without actually physically controlling a country. So America gave a lot of money to Ukraine, and now time to pay back all of this money. Well, how do you pay them back? You do what America says. Well, what does that mean? You're going to use American companies to rebuild your country. Not all American, but definitely a lion's freaking share. And who controls all of these American companies that are going to be there? You bet your bottom dollar, BlackRock, and probably Vanguard to follow. Also, JP Morgan is involved, and there are other companies, but keep in mind BlackRock. So I have a theory that some of this $6 billion that was mysteriously sent by mistake, counting error, was sent to Wagner Group. And this is a paid rebellion, a quiet coup of what's going to happen. Meanwhile, the counteroffensive in Ukraine has not been going as advertised. It hasn't been going as, let me rephrase, it hasn't been going as aggressive as they wanted it to be. They're not taking back as much land as far as I understand. Of course, I'm not on the ground, so I wouldn't know this. And maybe they needed a way out, and they initiated their operative. Maybe this Wagner guy is an operative of the U.S. in this mission to win this war for Ukraine so that they could start rebuilding. Think about it. Right now would be a really, really good time to boost up the economy while stocks got absolutely destroyed in 2022. Just think about it. Think about that. That's my theory about what's happening. And if this is the case, and I'm close to, or this is going to happen, Ukrainian war is going to stop. Also, Ukraine started bombing the bridges of Crimea, which is the connection between Russia, mainland Russia, and Crimea occupied Russia. Once Ukraine takes back Crimea and Donbass, nobody's going to take it back again. That's it. They can defend their borders. BlackRock is going to make tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars for themselves and their investors for the reconstruction of Ukraine. BlackRock, and I'm going to keep putting in Vanguard there, are huge owners of Palantir shares, and Palantir is going to prosper from the reconstruction of Ukraine. You guys mark my words. I've been saying this since day one. Me, Amit, the other Palantir community members, that Palantir is going to definitely prosper from what's happening. But now I'm making some connections about what's happening here and Palantir, how they're specifically going to prosper. They are literally going to be the software prime of Ukraine. And I bought on Friday after hours at 7:44. I bought 1,000 extra shares of Palantir. I don't know what's going to happen on the market on Monday because I don't know how this is going to unfold by Monday. I don't know if Monday is going to be a good or bad day, but I am almost positive that there will not be a Ukraine war by end of this year. So it can end in a week, it can end in a month, it can end in 4 months. But all I know is that by the end of 2023, no more Ukrainian-Russian war. It will be settled. That's my opinion. In the headlines, you will hear Palantir, Palantir, Palantir everywhere in the news. Not just Palantir, other companies, but Palantir, Palantir, Palantir. And Palantir is going to be in the headlines, front and center, to rebuild Ukraine. Because the people that are now in charge of funding the rebuilding of Ukraine are also the people, companies that own the largest amount of shares of Palantir. And Palantir has a huge ability to grow from where it is right now. In terms of, there's exponential growth. For example, the defense contractors, there's only a limited amount of tanks you can make. There's only a limited amount of ammunition you can make. So Lockheed and Martin already went up a certain amount, right? Now it's the next phase of making money. What's the next phase? Software with exponential growth through the pushing of BlackRock and Vanguard and whoever else is shareholders of Palantir that's going to be part of the reconstruction of Ukraine, pushing Palantir on Ukraine's reconstruction. And there is going to be so much money coming into this reconstruction. That's my personal opinion about what's happening. Also, I kept you apprised of the situation of what's happening in the Russian Civil War. I hope this in some way, shape, or form helped you. There is literally a lot of stuff that's happening, but that final push is going to be between Wagner and the Kremlin on the border of Moscow. So right now, Russia essentially is worried about one thing, making sure that they don't go into actual Moscow. Russia has basically 3 main cities, but essentially 2, Moscow and St. Petersburg. That's like the main cities. Let's talk about New York and California. And as long as they control those, they feel they control the country. That's where all of the wealth goes, like all of the wealth. And I believe like 92% or 90% of all, I think 92% of all wealth goes to Moscow and St. Petersburg. So they're going to defend those cities and really dig deep. Now, I don't know how true it is, but if the army supports Wagner, because Wagner was fighting side by side with the army, the Russian army, except for specialized Spetsnaz groups, which is like their Navy SEALs, they don't have enough to take out the whole Wagner. And Wagner is battle ready. They've been fighting for a while. Also, Wagner is admitting that they were fighting on behalf of Russia in Africa and other coups. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. And I definitely think that Palantir is going to have a huge run up. You guys can think that I'm crazy. You guys can think that I'm insane. But I actually think that I'm right. Once this Ukraine-Russia war stops, also, this is going to be a rocket fuel for the stock market. This is going to be a prosperous 2024. I am almost certain, of course, none of this is financial advice because I cannot give you financial advice, nor am I qualified, nor would I want to give you financial advice. However, I am almost positive 2024 is going to be a crazy year for stocks. It's all setting up. This is going to be the next boom. You know, the GDP growth, or I don't know, not GDP growth, but the boom in the U.S. economy. And the top players are going to make a shit ton of money. And I believe one of those top players is going to be Palantir. I'm so proud of Palantir, and I'm so proud that the world is seeing what Palantir is. I feel bad for the Russian population, but a lot of the Russian population, I don't think they're going to get hurt, the civilians. I believe that all of them are ready for a revolt. Also, there's a revolution call in Belarus right now, and without Russia, Belarus is going to fall. There's rumors that private jets are leaving Russia, which would be the oligarchs and the people in power. There's also rumors that Putin wanted to go into Tajikistan. Tajikistan says, no, you can't come into our airspace. This is an internal problem. Again, these are just rumors, and I can't confirm it. Meanwhile, on Russian television, they're saying that Putin is in the Kremlin working on this. I cannot fathom that he would actually be there, to be honest with you, and I wouldn't be shocked if they left. Also, his Prime Minister, Medvedev, also, it's rumored that he left the country with his wife. Who knows what's going to happen? Thank you. Have a great day.